didn't start, you know, thinking I'll be an entrepreneur and I'll build a company. I saw a challenge in society that really frustrated me that we weren't solving. My first day of work, my first job out of college, we had a restroom break. And the men's room had a really long line and the women's room did not. And because that's the reverse pattern you usually see, it made me think what was fascinating is our earliest clients were, aluminum, metal manufacturing, dental, medical device, not those you would think of because they weren't adopting AI. They were solving a business problem of how do we hire more fairly and efficiently? And the tool that helped you do that just happened to be AI. But what I get excited about is all the new roles that HR can create only because we have this AI layer of tools and technologies between us that we never had before. And to not do what I told you, which is speak vaguely without specifics and then freak everyone out. It's a really exciting time to be in HR because we need HR more than ever to shepherd us through. I think those HR leaders that view this as the responsibility, if you previously handled the human capital that does the work, you will increasingly either handle or directly support the human-machine collaboration and machine plus human getting work done across the org. This is a kind of once-in-a-lifetime change that no one has answers to because it's never happened before. And
First of all, thank you for listening to our EX Steps podcast and apologies that I interrupt this episode. I promise I keep it short, but it's quite important and I need your help, please. I've been publishing these podcast conversations for 2 years now, and I see from the statistics that many of you are listening to my podcast on Spotify or Apple, and some of you are watching on YouTube. Thank you for that, and I hope you enjoyed the episode so far. I plan on making more episodes, but in order to do so, as I'm a one-man show, I would like to ask for your help, please. It doesn't cost you anything except for maybe 1 minute of your time. Please subscribe to my podcast on Apple or Spotify and subscribe to my YouTube channel. With your subscriptions, I will be able to reach more listeners, which in turn helps me get further interesting guests for you to listen to. So if you will, it's a win-win. Subscribe, and if you want, you can also leave a like or a comment, or tell me if there's anyone you want me to speak to in one of my episodes. Thank you so much for your support, and now let's start the next episode. What is the connection between long lines at the men's and AI? How did working as an investment banker at Wall Street lead to founding an HR tech startup? And I think we all can agree that studying foreign policy and Chinese are good foundations for a job in HR. But how about founding a recruiting startup? Welcome to another Employee Experience Labs podcast from the Munich Podcast studio. Employee Experience Labs podcasts are about HR tech, employee experience, shared services, and other interesting topics around HR at the workplace. We continue our most successful season so far from the Workbook of an HR leader, where I'm talking to experienced colleagues in our field about their daily working routine and what and how they are going about the various challenges they have to face each day. I'm a tireless believer that we could all be better if we learn from each other, but there are not many opportunities to do that. Yes, there are the conferences, but how often can you attend one in a year? Yes, there are also the peer-to-peer connections, but how many do you manage to keep running? I'm a firm believer that we can all do a better job if we learn from each other, and so I am inviting seasoned HR experts from various fields and companies to tell us about their workday and how they go about the challenges of today. Today, I'm proud to share another special episode of the season where my guest and I have of course talked about HR and specifically talent management and recruiting, but even more about technology and AI and how AI is not only transforming our work in HR, but whole companies and what special role HR plays in this fascinating transformation we are witnessing but are also a part of. For many of us, AI is the second or third big technology cost transformation in the workplace. And for this one, even more than for others, it is true that it's not about the technology, but it is actually about HR. And it highly depends on HR if a company is successful with its AI transformation. I'm extremely excited to have the chance to have Athena Karp, founder of HiredScore and now part of Workday, as a guest in my podcast studio. Athena and I met last year when I had the honor to be part of a panel discussion she moderated. But from the first moment on, it was clear to me that I needed to have her as a guest in my podcast, as she has significantly influenced AI tech in the HR space already. But I'm certain that she will do so much more in the months and years to come. And so we, of course, talked about the past and what led to today. But we even more talked about the future and how HR work will radically change. Not tomorrow, but already starting today. I have to admit that we would probably have talked much more than the hour we booked if it were not for busy diaries, as there's so much to talk about. But the 50 minutes that are to follow are packed with interesting viewpoints and thought starters. But let me stop here and you can listen for yourself. Athena Karp, GM of HiredScore at Workday. Hello, Athena. It's so great to have you today. It's wonderful. I've been looking forward to today for quite some time. We met first last year. I think it was December, on a panel at Workday Rising, and I was really looking forward to having you as a partner here in my podcast. So I'm really excited about today. Hello, how are you?
I'm great. Thrilled to be here as well. Our panel was definitely a highlight for me of rising experience in general, and I guess even of the quarter. Yes. It's not often that I think you have multiple clients all innovating in different ways that kind of can so clearly articulate the differences versus similarities between their innovation programs. And I felt we had a very stellar panel for that.
Oh, I think so too. It was really great to have the colleagues on and to have the conversation. I think innovation is a theme that probably we will, see throughout today's conversation as well. But Athena, before we go there, um, I don't know if there are people, but maybe not everyone knows you from my listeners. So who is Athena? What's your background? What did you study? What are your experiences? And how did you get to where you are today?
Yeah. So I was the most recently the founder CEO of a company called HiredScore. We were among the first to be doing AI for HR. I started the company over 12 years ago. And I didn't start, you know, thinking I'll be an entrepreneur and I'll build a company. I saw a challenge in society that really frustrated me that we weren't solving. And it was kind of connects to your question of who is Athena. I was at Georgetown in the School of Foreign Service. So studied a lot of
Oh,
econ, foreign
yeah.
policy, Chinese. Um,
Whoa, I didn't know the Chinese one.
The Chinese one, yes. My fluency is in French, but I did study it, lived in Beijing also for a bit. But yeah, my hidden past. And then I did, and then I went into Wall Street to do investment banking focused on technology companies. And my first day of work, my first job out of college, we had a restroom break. And the men's room had a really long line and the women's room did not. And because that's the reverse pattern you usually see, it made me
Yes.
think, "Oh, I didn't even think about what is the gender breakdown of this class?" And, I went back to the HR team and was thrilled to learn that the company I joined had very ambitious gender inclusion goals and
Yeah,
kind of aspirations, but yet
yeah,
we
yeah.
weren't able to translate that in
Mm.
the attraction, the hiring funnel, in promotions and across the board, and both it was not the thing we wanted to be doing, so not great for people and not great for the business because of the kind of length of time it still took to hire, the inefficiencies in the hiring processes, and the misalignment to our goals. So I thought about this problem for the next 4 years, Volker,
Mhm,
just
mhm.
thinking any day
Wow.
now, there will be a
Yeah,
company leveraging AI, using it to solve this. And I went on to become an investor focused on private
and we all let
equity.
you down.
Well, no, but you know what I realized when starting it was we were very early in people had started companies like Workday had brought the data to the cloud, and I think the maturity curve is typically use the data
Yeah,
for analytics, for insights, and
yeah.
then to complement processes. And we wanted to say, leverage the data to proactively recommend how we
For
can work
action.
differently. And
Mm,
because it was
mm.
early AI, um, we got to experience a lot of the curve. What was fascinating is our earliest clients were, aluminum metal manufacturing, dental, medical device, not those you would think of
Wow.
because they
No.
weren't adopting AI. They were solving a business problem of how do we hire more fairly and efficiently? And the tool that helped you do that just happened to be AI. And so
Yeah.
that was our journey, and we were acquired by Workday, a year ago, so I'm proud to now have HiredScore as part of Workday. I'm the GM of HiredScore at Workday. Yeah.
There's so much in there, Athena, but I think the one that for me, where we clicked the first when we met was you were never thinking about, "Hey, I need AI." You were always thinking, "There's a business problem." And you were always also coming from the perspective of, "What problem can I solve in a company? What is the problem that that gets me over that equity topic, right? Around the workforce and who is there and who is not there, and why do I have a, a queue at the men's and not at the women's?
Yeah.
This is for me so fundamental, and want to dive in there in a bit because it's truly, I don't see that very often. I still
Mhm.
see and hear a lot around AI thrown as the solution regardless what's the problem, and AI just implemented regardless if there is a business problem. To be honest, I'm honestly, I just had earlier today a conversation with another company. Don't want to out anyone, um, and they put down their agenda for AI for 25 and plus. And the whole time I was listening, was thinking, "Great, what problem are you solving?"
Mm.
I mean, and and why are you going there? What's just because you can? Just because AI could do something there, or are you really trying to solve a problem? And I couldn't find the problem. I'm
Mm.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Right.
So I'm really excited that this is different. But before we go there, now that you are, you have been a, then what is it, 11-year founder and startup CEO before you were acquired, right?
Yes, that's correct.
So how did life change?
Yeah. Well, first, we actually welcomed our first child, our daughter, in September. So life changed in that way.
Congratulations.
Which, thank you. She's amazing. She's turned 6 months old yesterday. Uh,
Woohoo.
I know, I know. Um, but in terms of the work, I tell people this a lot, which is I think different founders maybe think of their journeys differently because we were really focused on what is our mission. We started with how do we make hiring more fair and efficient? How do we make promotions more fair and efficient became the second stage. How do we make workforce decisions more fair and efficient? How do we, make now it's an ever bigger vision, which is how do we help companies manage through this unprecedented change of human machine collaboration and how work will be done in the most responsible way. And when I say responsible, I mean, how do we have as many people included as possible who want to contribute to who want to continue to contribute to the workplace, be able to be a part of it. And that takes forecasting work demand in ways we never have and forecasting talent potential in ways we
Yeah.
never have. We've always talked about talent potential, but we don't really do it, and we definitely don't do it at the forecasting level and understanding all the different ways you get people ready, and AI is actually a huge boost to that and impactor of that in a positive way because of its ability to do knowledge transfer, expertise augmentation, personalized learning. So back to your question, how did life change? The problems that we are here to solve in this world did not suddenly resolve because we sold our company to Workday. And in fact, I think the problems are more important than ever before. So my hard score team, my Workday peers, we're now kind of just rising to the big shoes of Workday, which are even bigger than the shoes of Hired Score, to make our vision of how we can drive and enable and support these changes that are coming for the future of work the best possible way we can. Um, so it's a larger call to urgency, a larger mission of what we can create. And I think that's really what Carl and Anil and the Workday team that had the vision to bring us in, always imagined was not just how do you do hired score here, but how do you and your team and this bigger vision help us, um, you know, drive the biggest impact we can of spaces we all really care about.
Yeah, and it also gave you hopefully way more resources, right? Because from startup to a company like Workday, it's quite a size. It's um, quite a resource pool from multiple things, from a financial perspective, from a people perspective, from a capability perspective to tap into. That must be great because then you can probably, my imagination, but you tell me, even go faster after the issues, the challenges that you wanna solve.
I think it's definitely that, but Workday has 11,000 extraordinary customers. And we don't come up with problems and ways of solving them because we sit in an ivory tower. We come up with that because we are ear to the ground, collaborating with our clients on what unanswered challenges do they see in the next 12 to 36 months? What could
Yeah.
doing it differently look like? What does work look like? How is that changing from them? I mean, we learn everything, and everything we've ever built, for example, at Hired Score, was because of collaboration, learning of problems, learning of different ways, learning of experimenting and iterating on how to make things better um, with customers. So I can't tell you how much joy and um, I think passion my clients have given me at Hired Score, and to be able to 5, 10x that and get exposed to the extraordinary ecosystem of Workday clients. I mean, even you and I found each other because of the Workday client ecosystem. So
Yeah.
I think it's the ability to learn at a scale about these problems that we care so much about and potential ways of solving them that would never
Yeah.
have been possible on our own.
And, I think that this is really what in fact me to get you onto this podcast. Your focus on clients and understanding their needs and making that first, then thinking about the solution to it. Um, y but, you know, I know Workday for quite some time, and I think they are a bit different in that space, right? Workday is a company, 20 years, I think, this year, around
Yeah,
20 years,
it's
I
our
think
20-year
2005
birthday.
it was. Yeah, yeah. And they're needing to serve 11,000 clients. They're needing to serve across a big variety of HR and finance areas, right? So they are in a position where they are not necessarily nimble anymore because they have to make sure everything always works and everyone can follow, right? Because everyone is on the same code platform. You cannot leave one behind. You always have to, make incremental steps. When I then think about hired score, your platform and your thinking is in a few ways, I think, very different. It is you come with a business problem first and try to solve that, but you also come with an AI platform, an AI first platform, versus Workday is a cloud first platform. How how does this, fit from your perspective, from a culture and from a technology perspective? How
Yeah.
do you see this?
So I think the first thing just to mention here is that which doesn't change. And when, we weren't for sale, Workday was our biggest partner. More than half our clients were Workday clients. And we'd collaborated closely with the Workday team, with the product org, David Summers, Ashna, Dave Wachtel, um, for actually a number of years before we even progressed what became, the acquisition discussions. And from that, I think from partnering and collaborating, you learn a company's culture and its
Yeah,
values. Those
yeah,
things don't change, right?
yeah.
Or maybe they do over a very long period of time. When you look
But
at
you
the
change with it then. Yeah,
right. Well, when we look at the Workday values page, it was the exact same as the 6 values Hired Score had, just written, with some different languages and taxonomy. So I think the important thing is to start with, that foundation of anything is its people, its culture, its values. Those were the same for both of our companies. We were born years after Workday. We wouldn't what we did wouldn't have been possible. I wouldn't have been able to start Hired Score if Workday hadn't brought the data to the cloud for us to
yeah,
be able to then begin life as an AI first company. And so I have friends that have done companies 1 or 2 technology generations before us, and they all say, "How lucky you are that we trailblazed in these ways, and we built the connectors for you, and we built cloud for you to then have you open field start with AI." So, you know, um, but I think there are very few. I don't know of any Fortune 500 companies, because of what you would need to have reached to be a Fortune 500 companies, that is AI native, right? And so I think when we think of which companies do I believe will make the quickest, easiest shift to becoming AI first, and what does becoming AI first look like? And this is another why Workday for me, our leadership team really cares about our shift to AI first. Our founder, chairman, Anil, really deeply understands AI. He's a visionary I've looked up to and kind of, followed from afar for a very long time, and then to be at a company and see how he continues to push us forward
yeah,
and inspire
yeah,
us. But it's across all the Workday leaders that push to if we establish cloud first, you know, why can't we establish AI first and bring that to all of our customers? And Workday was built, thankfully for our founders, with a deep understanding of data
yeah,
natively, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
we integrate with a lot of companies. I won't mention them, but they're Workday's competitors. Some were not built data
Are
first.
there? Yeah, there are competitors.
Yeah, well, they weren't built data first, they were built
No.
storage first,
Mhm,
or they
mhm,
were built services first, and when
mhm,
you're built
mhm.
storage first or services first, you end up either being too rigid that clients need to complete the product, and it's gonna have huge gaps, or you end up being too flexible such that the data doesn't have the business context you need for AI. Workday is perfectly positioned, and that's a lot of the reason we're able to do so much cutting edge innovation across Workday for our clients, because it is a data native first company, not just a cloud first company. So I'm really excited for what we have ahead.
I hear you there, and there's nothing, I think, that I'm saying that is not open, but the elements from that Hired Score brought in to Workday, that you first had, like, in, Hired Score only, and that are now moved into other areas in Workday. like the succession agent, for example. I I really like this, and I find it amazing how quick, given the time of integration, these come to fruition, right? They are not yet released. Yes, I get that, but getting to that kind of direction and providing the insight to action across those two companies and two technologies
Yeah.
is what I think will really make a big difference here. Because what I really see is, as a user, Workday has Workday is not new to AI, right? They're using machine
Yes.
learning for quite
A
some time.
decade, actually.
Yeah. And they have really great use cases, right? I'm a big fan of the telemarketplace, for example. They have real good use cases, but the step change that an AI first company brings in is, I think, what is really needed to bring this to the next level, right? And when I think further, I'm always thinking like, what's what's the end game, right? And will Hyatt Score take over Workday slowly, right? Because it goes into an AI first, or will it be just features coming into Workday, or will there be like a new Workday powered by HealthScore, right? How do you see this
Yeah.
going into the future?
So, and I think that goes back to the leadership, which I think we're going to talk a lot about. The leadership of a company. There's different ways. I mean, I was an M&A banker, right, in my earliest career, and there's many different ways companies can acquire other companies. One is you acquire them as, here's a product, I'll incorporate that, put that into our sales, machine, and go. And Workday's leaders thought of us differently from the beginning, which was, it's not just the products you've built, it's what else we can do together. And that's where I do very much applaud. I mean, that M&A team is amazing. And we had a incredible collaboration through that. And then even since then, which is the leadership team being very focused on what does better together for our customers mean and for the
Yeah,
market
yeah,
mean.
yeah,
And it's not just bring us some tactical features and functionality. It's, how do we think about things Hired Score could have never done if you were not part of Workday, and things, because now Hired Score is part of Workday, Workday can now bring to market with speed, with quality, with safety, compliance, all the IP we have around how do we do AI for HR in a fair way and an ethical way. And I think there's also the complements of being able to have a Workday product technology function be able to build things that Hired Score doesn't have AI, IP, and components in because they're not related to areas we operated. So
yeah,
it
yeah,
essentially helps all teams focus on best in breed, best in class, the hardest problems that customers need solved, the deepest, unique to Workday types of challenges and missions. The new AI agent you mentioned, we're calling it the continuity coach, is basically something we could have dreamed about. We could have maybe done a component of it, but if we weren't part of Workday, we'd never would have been able to say, how do you bring succession planning that usually only the top of your organization pyramid gets to everyone in the org? What does that mean? It means essentially a system is always thinking about what someone's next path could be, augmenting and supporting a manager, augmenting and supporting an employee to understand vacancy or projected vacancy and recommend them. And also know, if I move someone, I create a vacancy here. And
yeah,
that's a
yeah,
move vacancy chain that usually drives managers and the business to make what we call talent hoarding decisions. They're not talent hoarding, their business preservation decisions. Because if they don't know when they're getting the next person to go fill, they can't with confidence release. And so it just brings a clarity and a engine to support in doing that, what's right and best for the business and right and best for people and balancing risk and opportunity. Um, Again, there's so much that only because we are part of Workday are we able to build that? And there's so many things that I'm very excited when I look around the product and technology org, another acquired company, Evisort, that recently came in. Incredible AI company that has such a powerful intelligence that I think we'll see very similar things soon in the market, which will show the ability to say what is uniquely best in class. And I think that's the difference between the AIs that will succeed going forward. Not generalists that don't deeply understand the business process, the personas that need to be augmented by them, the democratization of expertise by AI, or going left of or leapfrogging entire functions. You can't do that when you don't deeply understand how it happens today, what the data looks like, what safety of that looks like, and to be able to do that at Workday is really exciting.
But also, Athena, and you said it, right? Without understanding the business problem. I think this is really the fundamental perspective that has the positive drive, the positive impact here. You do have companies that are coming in with, point AI solutions, point AI ideas. Nice to have. I'm not sure if it brings you any further, and you definitely have to pay a lot of money because Gen AI is still expensive. Then you have companies that think from the HR lens, which is also fantastic for an HR practitioner like me. But in the end, we are not there to be, you know, to be there for our own or for our function of HR. Our whole purpose is to enable the business. And therefore, coming from the business problem and how you just expressed it, from the continuity perspective. This is how a business operator, a business manager is thinking about the problem, right? And this is what we need to enable, where we need to think through, okay, how do we how do we declinate this through to the end, and then see how we can make this more efficient, how we can make this more effective, and how can we get to the right business impact? Because this then in the end will have a positive impact on the business, top
Yeah.
or bottom. It will have a positive impact on the employee, it will have a positive impact on overall engagement and experience. And this will make the difference, where I then also say, like, you know what? This is where it makes sense to invest. This is where it makes sense to implement it. Right?
I think it's a really exciting time to be in HR because we need HR more than ever to shepherd us through. I think those HR leaders that view this as the responsibility, if you previously handled the human capital that does the work, you will increasingly either handle or directly support the human machine collaboration and machine plus human getting work done across the org. This is a kind of once in a lifetime change that no one has answers to because it's never happened before. And I believe the leaders that are able to productize, streamline, make more efficient and effective everything they're dealing with today and get their teams focused on, I've been calling it the chief work officer, but owning that the chief work officer is responsible for all the different ways that work gets done and safeguarding, securing, ensuring quality, ensuring continuity, ensuring consistency, ensuring well-being of all that that means. And without AI tools, technologies, without new processes, without productizing and democratizing HR done well by the business frictionlessly, we won't ever be able to move on to the most important things we need to focus on. And I think that's also HR firing on all cylinders, hiring, promotion, learning, training, development, succession planning, retirement, you know, we need more than ever all of that to work together because that's how we're going to be able to serve people the way that we need to for what's ahead. And that's really what excites me.
Yeah, I look into this from two sides. You have on one side the um AI for HR or HR for HR, what you could think, where I think, when I think about 2, 3 years from now, how do I think we should run our organization? Where I believe HR is a function that can again truly focus on the human, truly focus on the individual, and do truly a segmentation of one to support. Because what you can think is you do have the the complete knowledge around your employees, and you can make use of it because you have technology that can help you make sense of it, understand it, and serve in that way. At the same time, all of the back office work that today takes a lot of human resources, a lot of people, but doesn't add value to the majority of the talent work, you can automate this. You can completely streamline this and have someone overseeing the different agents getting the work done versus people doing the work, right? And on the other side, you have HR for AI. This is where I really think it comes to the game that we will have AI and Gen AI across all of the different business functions. But what does it mean for a company to have that? What does it mean from a culture? What does it mean from the capability perspective? What does it mean from an organization perspective? Right? You mentioned it. The chief, what did you say? Chief workforce officer.
Chief work
Chi-
officer.
Chief work officer. Yes, the chief work officer. Right? Because work will no longer be just done by humans. It will be done by humans, by AI agents. You have, let's call it non-smart automations. But how does this all work together? How do you construct a successful organization out of that? This is this is the cool work of HR, I think.
100%. And I'll add two more noise factors to what you said, which is work historically has been done by humans. It will increasingly be done by human machine collaborations and to some extent by machines or agents, right, autonomously. Navigating these three different ways of how work is performed, how outcomes are measured, how performance is documented, how especially that human machine collaboration, there's so much opportunity, there's so much potential, but there's also so much we are not constructed for that yet. At Workday, we actually just announced our agent system of record, which I think most people think that's a futuristic thing, but as more and more of our clients are leveraging agents across various areas of the organization, at the end of the day, just like you manage employees from a safety, security, processes, but
Mhm,
also
mhm.
from performance and outcomes, we'll need to manage agents because agents are good at some things, are not at others, are applied in new ways and not great, are applied in new ways and highly effective, are and so, the entire system architecture, it's even bigger than when we move from prem to cloud.
I
Because at
It's
the end of
much
the day,
bigger.
we're
Yes.
managing data and business processes. But AI is moving so fast that the other noise factor to add to what you said is, and we'll never be we're never able to be stagnant because every day there's a new version, a new
Mhm.
AI tool, a new capability, which can and should be incorporated into our toolbox where it's safe and effective of ways that we get work done, ways that we democratize expertise, ways that we kind of augment humans and unlock human potential. And that's going to that's going to need a continual modification, a new way of thinking where and as that evolves. And so I think that's the other thing that we're tending to lose sight of in how we're architecting these AI systems and processes
Yeah.
of the future is just
Yeah.
the level of change you need to bake into them and modification rate you need to include.
And it's not only a change and modification of the technology, it's change and modification of the human-based organization around it. And this is, you and I think we could geek out on that for another 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, because we love it and we love to be in that space and actively shape it. But at the same time, I'm talking to many HR colleagues in the non-technology space, like, the business partners of this world. And when I talk to them, I I see three archetypes, three patterns. Number one is the business partner and the HR person that, slowly gets aware of what is happening and is trying to understand, make sense what this means for their business, for their role. Then I see the ones who are just like completely overwhelmed. They have no idea what's going on. They are still trying to make sense of what is a cloud system, right? Let's not even start with AI. And the third one is the ones that are really anxious about it. They
Yeah.
they they don't know what is coming there. They don't know what this means for them, for their organizations. They're just almost in shock. What what do you see when you speak to clients or potential clients? What's the feedback that you get when you talk about that future?
Yeah. It's funny, my husband is also a AI future of work entrepreneur. So this was our
What is he doing?
he does some amazing things, AI for teams. And it's just really fun to kind of live in a AI future of work incubator. And what for some people it would be a lot. For us, we love what we do. We love the problems we solve. So, it's a lot of fun.
I
Um,
tell you one thing, Athena. I tell you one thing. So, we have like for most of the technology at home, my wife and I, we have like a common account, with my credit card behind. And she is not in the AI entrepreneur space, but she's basically getting all of her stuff done with AI, and I'm paying the bill for it.
Amazing. You have a you have a hyper futuristic wife. That's awesome.
I do, definitely.
Yeah, but what we were talking about this morning is where do we see people say they are AI reticent or they're not yet ready and I think that's the job that we all just need to do a better job. It's not about AI. It's about
Mhm.
what are you solving? How are you solving it? What pain points or business challenges with the incorporation of AI could we solve quicker, easier, with less know-how, with less expertise, with less friction, with less time delays? And I kind of I think it's our opportunity to simplify the way that we talk about things. It's almost like we're caught up in the glory of AI first and AI this,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
almost to the detriment then of alienating people that if you just spoke about, "Here's how you work now, here's how you'll work, here's how you collaborate with it, here's how you include it." I do think there is a literacy. I worry when calling it AI literacy because I think that means to people that we need them all to become coders, and we don't.
Mm. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so whatever the thing that is AI literacy without everyone needing to know how to build their own AI, but it's almost like we need you to understand how each and every AI tool that you work with, how it uses data, how it learns, what it learns from, what's its output derived from. It's like we want you to understand the machine the best that you
Debunk it.
can so that
Mhm.
you can be the best collaborator. It's like what makes people great at collaborating? the better they understand how the person they're collaborating with thinks, the better they understand why they think that way, the better they understand where there's differences, what informed those differences in that person versus in them, so that they can have not just the empathy, but the collaboration partnership to know how to do that well. And machines are not humans. And there's a huge opportunity for us to understand what is not like a human that is a machine. There's a great book by Ethan Mollick, Co-Intelligence, that I strongly recommend
Yes. Yeah.
people to read, because I think the more we liken machines to humans, kind of the further astray we go in helping people invest time in AI is different, and that means I need to learn, and each and every AI tool I use might be different. So, just like if you worked with 5 different people, you wouldn't assume Sally is the same as John. You'd get to know John and get to know Sally and get to know how to collaborate best with them. I think there's a lot we can do to stop speaking in AI ivory towers and come and speak ways that are more familiar, more
Yeah.
approachable, and more productive for the
Yeah.
change that we want to see.
I agree. This is definitely something we need to do. I think though there's one other topic where I feel you already provided the answer to, which is at the beginning, the AI that we have now, they will, augment or complete for you the more mundane tasks. But some folks, this is what they have. This is what they do. This is how they identify, right? So we need to also tell them that the AI will not make them redundant. They will not be better humans, but that in essence, the AI will help to free you up to do what only humans can do. And this is where you can focus on. And this is where you can, perform with the AI even better than today.
Yeah. I think our biggest gap is when we say that vaguely,
Hmm.
people don't know what that means and then
Yeah.
inherently don't trust, probably they shouldn't, that there's something behind that. When we say that and clarify what work is uniquely human, what work the human machine collaboration needs the human to do, if we're saying we're going to use technology to go left of today's processes and there will be new jobs that are built left of, or to leapfrog how we do things today to how we will do things, and we don't then exactly clarify what that means, I think people rightly then express doubts and concerns. So I think a lot of leaders, if we can just finish the formulas and then communicate the finished formulas to people, if X is removed or alleviated or changed in this way, then Y is now possible. It is more work, but it's both the right work to do, right for the business, right for everyone's awareness, and right for the people. We've seen a number of clients, for example, gain one great example, gain recruiter efficiency and effectiveness from our recruiter coach AI, and then take recruiters, move them into internal talent career coaches who also leverage AI to have a mission called make it easier to find a job internally than externally. When I'm an employee at a company that now I've got almost internal career services, people dedicated to that, that are here to help me find a job because I came here to grow and maximize my potential. And I'm people that know with X capacity, we're now going to have the funds to create Y team. You're both kind of getting the buy-in and getting the support for the transformation vision being clarified to the benefits of each and every person, which I think is the best way forward.
I agree, Athena. The the difficulty is that there's a big cost attribution when it comes to AI, particularly when we talk about generative AI. And what you have is many people running around saying, "Hey, use Gen AI, it gives you 20% efficiency," which many business leaders translate into fantastic, I have 20% cost savings.
Mm.
This then gets the whole conversation into the wrong direction, right? So the question is, how can we articulate the ROI of Gen AI without this connotation that the ROI is I need less people?
Yeah. I mean, I think this is where Chief Work Officer and all the other chiefs have this extraordinary collaboration opportunity to say, if we could do new things faster, if we could launch new products differently, if we could expand into new geographies, if we could grow differently, what would that look like? What would that be? We've built our plans based on a pre-AI world, most of them.
Yeah,
Now we will
yeah,
have a
yeah,
post-AI world. It's almost the same exercise we're doing in how do you rethink human machine collaboration for work? How do we rethink human machine collaboration for what is possible for businesses? And then give us new, revised, higher North Stars. And
yeah,
then kind of
yeah,
that fills out a more kind of business growth oriented story and business
yeah,
opportunity story versus
yeah,
just a cost containment story.
yeah. And I think it's we we are actually not too far away from that, because at the same time that we need to think about that story, we are also coming to not coming. We are in an environment where talent is scarce.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
we need each and every one. And if we are then having those fundamental, fantastic abilities to have internal career coaches to make in essence more use of the talent that you have for the right ways to grow the company, that's already the payback.
Yeah,
Yeah. Athena, I'm really sorry, because we are so deep into the conversation, and time is running. I want to be really careful that I don't take too much of your time. So let's look into the future for a moment.
yeah.
With everything that we talked already today, how do you think the Gen AI space in HR or in work looks in 5 years from now?
Yeah. So I don't think it's just Gen AI. I like all the different AI tools available to
Yeah,
us. So I think we got
yeah,
to
yeah,
broaden the AI umbrella. How do I think HR will work? I mean, I think we've talked a little bit about that in our deep dive today, which is I think a lot of the ways we define AI today will be productized for the business to responsibly, effectively almost conduct a lot of what we call today HR business processes. Um, because where the AI can tell whom we need to do what, when, how, it can do that, you know, terrifically. Where we need decisions, we will have human in the loop. Decisions of who to hire, decisions of who to promote, decisions of, other critical workforce processes and programs and HR processes and programs. So you'll have HR in those places. But what I get excited about is all the new roles that HR can create only because we have this AI layer of tools and technologies between us that we never had before. And to
Yeah,
not do what I told you, which is speak vaguely without specifics and then freak everyone out. One of the things I think a lot about is this kind of for years we've called it a talent advisor. The next generation of that, I believe, under the chief work officer umbrella is to say the talent supply aligned with the work demand, that whom understands what work we're projecting will go down over time versus increase over time, what we have and what we don't have internally, and then navigate between all the different ways people can be ready with longer time horizons. That's not just learning and training and reskilling, because I think this kind of work advisor, if you will, or chief work officer advisors, if you will, they will understand and have the ability to then go launch programs in mentorship where the best way
yeah,
to learn that is through mentorship. Go
yeah,
launch
yeah, yeah,
programs in project work, apprenticeship, experience-based learning, where that is the best way of doing that. And so it's constantly connecting that forecasted demand with the current talent supply, its delta to be ready, and all the different mechanisms. And it's almost like the ultimate coordinators between all the ways that we can help people align to their visions for themselves in the workforce, our work demand, and how to be ready on a negative 12, 24, 36-month horizon. Then today it's highly reactive. It's either have the supply and demand at the point I need it, or that's it. And I think this is the most exciting future role in HR.
This is it's very exciting. I absolutely agree. But you also probably admit that it's a very different role than what it is today, HR. So there's a big learning curve that we have to go, and that's amazing. But it's as you said earlier, it's the most exciting time to be in HR now. I we both couldn't have made the timing better, I think, with the abilities and the situations that we have. There's so much exciting. I think I cannot even think going somewhere else than in HR. I couldn't.
Yeah, I know.
But before we go again somewhere else, last question. Thanks for looking into the future. But final question, we look into the today. Where do you see, either through your conversations that you have or yourself, the top three biggest challenges today of HR technology, and how would you approach them?
Uh, Top three of HR technology. I think number one is most HR leaders don't know where to begin
Mm,
and almost have this conundrum of noise from generative AI features that are not going to yield them the ROI and impact that is expected of them. And so, how do we help bring together communities of leaders that might be a few years ahead in having implemented AI? Usually not because they were looking for AI, but they were looking earlier to solve these business
solve a business
challenges.
problem. Yeah.
Exactly. To help um, the HR function be a bright example of where AI has been brought in, ROI and impact that's measurable and effective has been gained, so that it's not, I started on the place that seemed easy to begin, but then ROI was expected of me and I couldn't, right? How do I not focus on many things, but focus just on a few key areas that matter? I think number two is HR thinking that AI governance is different than the governance that they so deeply know. And again, this is a golden moment for HR. Other functions don't have to live, most of them don't have to live in a compliance regulated, know the laws that apply to you. HR does and always has. And a lot of the laws have clarified the same standards that apply to humans, for example, in the US, apply to machines. They
Yeah.
know the
Yeah.
laws that apply to
Yeah.
humans. So
Yeah.
in across many companies we meet, AI governance is a top agenda across the org. HR can step right in and say, here's how we think about governance of humans, here's how we think about governance of machines, and feel a great confidence there that I get very excited about. And then I think this last piece of just continuing to inspire us with ways that you want to tackle hard problems 12 to 24 months ahead that you don't have answers to, that you know are coming. And we want to start chipping away at to find the responsible, high value, high impact, high quality solutions for. Those would be the areas that I think versus tell us about the thing that's maybe 90 days ahead, or tell us about the ways you want to check an AI box versus really solve the problems that
Yeah.
matter.
Fantastic. Thank you, Athena. It has been, I think, the shortest hour that, at least for this year, that I had. It was an amazing conversation.
A low bar. We're not even
Oh no!
Q1. We're in Q1
Okay,
yet.
okay. Okay. And now Anyway, how do I get out of that? I don't know. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed the conversation, Athena. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Me too. Take care.
Take care. Bye.